What would you do if your husband were gone and a teenage vandal painted over the one thing you had left of him? Salma didn't call the police. She made him an offer instead. And what happened next, no one saw coming. If stories like this speak to you, about loss, second chances, and unexpected connections, stick around. What you're about to see might just stay with you. The pre-dawn shadows wrapped around Salma Karim as she laced up her shoes. In the back room of Karim's bakery, at 54, she moved with the quiet rhythm of someone long used to solitude. The bakery still smelled of cardamom and vanilla, lingering echoes of the life she once shared with her husband, Ahmad. Now, every corner whispered of memories she carried alone. It had been 3 years since he passed, yet sometimes she still set to coffee cups. Running had become her escape meditation wrapped in motion. As she jogged through familiar streets, she passed darkened storefronts and the small park where she and Ahmad had dreamed of the bakery's future. But tonight, something broke the routine. A shadowy figure crouched at the back wall of her shop, a teenager, tagging. Salma could have called the police, could have turned and walked away, but instead, she approached. The boy dropped his sprake in an alarm, caught off guard. He looked around as if ready to run, but the alley behind Salma's shop was a dead end. He turned to face her, guilt painted across his features. "What's your name?" she asked, surprising them both with her calm. "Cody," he answered, defensive and unsure. She looked at the bold, unfinished blue and silver strokes on the wall. It was abstract, raw, chaotic, but alive. Something stirred in her, an innate sense of pleasure brought just by looking at it. She paused a moment before speaking again. "You do this often?" she asked. "Not buildings, just walls. No one cares about them," he said. "I care about this one," she replied. "It's my bakery." He apologized quickly, offering to clean it up, said he couldn't sleep, and painting was how he coped. Salma saw something familiar in his posture, the same invisible weight she carried herself. Without thinking, she asked, "When did you eat last?" Caught off guard again, he mumbled something about pancakes yesterday morning. She made him an offer. "I want you to finish what you started, but do it right. I'll pay you in pastries." Cody eyed her with suspicion. "What's the catch?" "No catch," she said. "Paint something intentional, something that tells a story. I'll feed you in return." The silence between them stretched, but slowly his guard dropped. "You're not calling the cops." "Not unless you give me a reason." Then came the real question, his voice edged with both skepticism and hope. "So, you want something nice. I want something honest. Pretty is easy. Truth stays." He hesitated. "When would I start?" "Tomorrow night, after I close at 8. Cody nodded, still unsure if this was real. "Okay." Salma lingered after closing, wiping already clean counters just to keep her hands moving. At 8:15, a soft knock came at the back door. Cody stood there, messenger bag slung over his shoulder. "I wasn't sure you'd come," she said. "Me neither," he admitted, glancing around. "Smells amazing in here." That caught her off guard. Ahmad, my husband, used to say bread was magic. Ordinary ingredients turned into something that feeds the soul. "He passed," she nodded. 3 years ago. They stepped out back. Cody unpacked his cans, stencils, and a sketchbook. His pages burst with color, motion, emotion. Faces suspended between joy and sorrow. "These are yours." "Yeah, the spray stuff is newer." He flipped through, stopping on a sketch of 2 figures working side by side, their hands touching over a shared task. "I was thinking something like this. People building something together." Salma's breath caught. It could have been her and Ahmad in their early days. Late nights, shared bowls, flour-dusted hands intertwined. "No," she said, too quickly. Cody blinked. "Sorry, I thought." "Not that one. Just something simple. No people." The light in his eyes dimmed. "Right, geometric. Got it." He started painting. Circles, triangles, careful lines. Salma watched, arms crossed, guilt rising with every sterile shape. This wasn't his art, and it wasn't her truth. "This isn't working," she said quietly. Cody stepped back, paint-stained hands low. "Yeah, I know. Maybe we should call it off." Maybe, but neither of them moved. They stood in silence, surrounded by the smell of paint and something heavier. The sketch, Salma said. It reminded me of something I'm not ready to face. Your husband. She nodded. She looked at the wall. But this isn't you either, is it? Cody shook his head. It's like painting without feeling, like breathing without air. She exhaled. Then don't paint tonight. Come back tomorrow. We'll figure out something that's real, for both of us. The next evening, Cody returned with a different energy. Instead of his usual scattered approach, he had prepared 3 specific sketches, each carefully explained. Option 1, he said, showing her a design of flowing water, neutral, calming, no people. Salma studied it. It's beautiful, but it doesn't feel like you. Option 2. This one showed hands kneading dough, but the hands were anonymous, universal. Still about the bakery, but not specific to anyone. Better, but something in her tone made him hesitate. And option 3. The final sketch showed a single figure. Just one, surrounded by symbols of growth, wheat, rising dough, crescent moon. One person creating something meaningful, building on tradition, but making it their own. Salma felt something shift inside her chest. That one, really, that one feels true. For both of us, I think. Cody began to paint, but almost immediately their different approaches created friction. Salma, accustomed to the precise timing of baking, wanted to plan each step. Cody worked intuitively, letting one color lead to the next. Wait, she said as he reached for a can of orange paint. Shouldn't we mask off that section first? Plan where the orange goes. I'm feeling where it should go, Cody said, shaking the can. Feeling isn't planning. What if it doesn't work with what comes next? Then I'll adapt. That's how art works. That's how mistakes happen. Cody paused, can halfway to the wall. Mrs. Cream, do you bake from recipes or do you taste and adjust? I follow recipes. They exist for a reason. Every time, exactly the same. Salma hesitated. The truth was, she'd followed recipes exactly since Ahmad died. Before, they'd constantly tasted and adjusted, debated whether more cardamom or less honey would improve a batch. But after losing him, precision had become her armor against failure. Yes, she lied. Exactly the same. Cody sprayed the orange where he'd planned. But his movements were stiff now, self-conscious. The fluidity she'd seen in his sketches disappeared under her watchful anxiety. Stop, she said after 20 minutes of watching him second-guess every stroke. This isn't working either. I'm doing what you asked. I'm being careful. You're not being you. You're being what you think I want you to be. Cody set down his paint can. I don't know what you want me to be. Last night, you wanted to be safe. Tonight, you want authentic. But you also want planned and controlled. I can't be all of those things at once. Salma stopped, realizing she didn't know what she wanted. I want to not feel like I'm betraying Ahmad by letting someone else create something beautiful in our space. The honesty surprised them both. And I want to paint something that matters without having to explain why every color choice connects to some deeper meaning. Cody said, sometimes blue is just blue because it feels right in the moment. They looked at each other across the gap between methodical grief and impulsive hope. What if we try something different tomorrow? Salma suggested. What if you paint and I bake something new? Parallel creation instead of collaboration. Like a test, like giving each other space to work the way we work best. The third night, they worked in comfortable separation. Cody painted while Salma experimented with a cardamom chocolate combination. She'd been considering for months but never tried. Every few minutes, she'd glance out at his progress, without her hovering. His movements had regained their natural flow. Around 10 o'clock, a group of teenagers walked through the alley on their way home from somewhere. Salma recognized them. Cody's friends from the neighborhood. Yo, Cody, one of them called. What are you doing, man? Cody's entire body tensed. Salma watched from the kitchen window as he tried to position himself to block their view of his art supplies. Just working on something, he said. Working on what? Looks like you're painting walls for free bread. The group laughed, not cruel but teasing in the way teenagers do. Damn, Kay, you that hungry? Salma saw Cody's face flush even in the dim light. It's not like that. No shame in it, bro. We all gotta eat. But next time, just ask us for a few dollars. You don't gotta do chores for the bread lady. The bread lady, Salma winced at the casual dismissal, but it was Cody's humiliation that concerned her more. He mumbled something about catching up with them later, and his friends moved on, still chuckling about their discovery. When Cody came back inside, he couldn't meet her eyes. "They don't understand," Salma said gently. "They think I'm desperate, working for food because I can't take care of myself, are you?" The question hung between them. "Maybe," he admitted, "but not the way they think. I'm not desperate for food. I'm desperate for—" He gestured helplessly at the mural taking shape outside. "For something that matters. For a place where what I create has value. Your art has value. Not to them, not to anyone I know, until you. No one ever offered to pay me for it, even in pastries." Salma studied his face, seeing something she recognized: the shame of being misunderstood, of having your deepest needs reduced to simple transactions. "What if we changed the arrangement?" she said. "What if, instead of payment for the mural, I hired you part-time, real wages, not just food?" Cody's head snapped up. "You're offering me a job. I'm offering you dignity, and a wage that matches the value of your work. But I don't know anything about baking. You know about creating something from nothing, about patience, practice, and caring enough to try again when something doesn't work the first time. Those are the most important qualifications." For the first time since his friends had appeared, Cody smiled. "When would I start?" "Tomorrow. If you want, I want." That night, Cody painted with renewed confidence. The figure in his mural began to take on depth and character, not desperate, but determined. Not working for scraps, but building something meaningful. And Salma still sent him home with a paper sack full of freshly baked goods. With the wall still drying behind him, Cody returned the next day not as a guest, but as part of the bakery's heartbeat. "What was your husband's favorite thing that you baked?" Cody asked suddenly. His favorite, Salma thought for a moment, a rye bread with caraway seeds. It reminded him of his grandmother's kitchen in Damascus. He said it tasted like home and possibility at the same time. "When did you last make it?" The question hit her like a revelation. "Not since he died. I couldn't. It felt too much like him, like I'd be summoning a ghost, or like you'd be honoring a memory," Cody said quietly. Salma stared at him. In 3 years, no one, not her sister, not her friends, not her therapist, had suggested that making Ahmad's favorite bread might be an act of love, rather than an act of self-torment. "Would you," she heard herself saying, "would you like to learn how to make it?" Cody's eyes widened. "You'd teach me?" "Only if you want to learn. It's not easy bread. It takes patience and practice, and a lot of kneading, and it might not work the first time." "I don't mind failing," Cody said. "I'm good at trying again." An hour later, they stood in the bakery kitchen, hands dusted with flour. Ingredients spread across the counter. Salma had found Ahmad's old recipe card for rye bread. "The secret is in the starter. Ahmad kept one going for 12 years, fed it every day like a pet. I've been maintaining it since he died, even though I haven't used it." "You kept it alive all this time, even when I couldn't bake with it, yes." She hesitated, because throwing it out felt like losing another piece of him. As long as the starter was alive, so was a part of Ahmad. Cody watched her carefully measure water and honey into the mixing bowl. "What does it feel like, making this again?" "Terrifying," Salma admitted. "Like I'm about to find out whether I remember how to be the person I used to be." As they worked, flour dusted their hands and the counter. Salma guided Cody through the motions. He followed with surprising precision, asking thoughtful questions about timing and texture. "This is meditative," he said, "like painting, but with your hands." Salma smiled. Ahmad used to say baking was a conversation. You have to listen to what the dough needs. Recipes aren't everything. Cody paused. "Is that what bothered you about my mural? I wasn't listening to the wall, maybe." Salma replied, "Or maybe I wasn't listening to you." They kneaded in silence, the rhythm grounding them both. The kitchen, once quiet with grief, now felt alive. "Did you and your husband ever argue about the bakery?" Cody asked. "All the time." Salma said fondly. "He was bold. I was cautious. It worked because we balanced each other." "Maybe that's what the wall's been waiting for," Cody said. "Not just me, not just you, both." Salma smiled. "You think we can find a rhythm?" "We already have," he said. nodding toward the rising dough as the loaves baked. Cody opened his sketchbook. Salma studied the swirling blues and silvers, now seeing not chaos, but movement, energy, hope. It's about transformation, Cody said. Like grief turning into connection. The oven timer rang. The smell of fresh bread filled the kitchen. Salma sliced into a loaf, handed him a piece. He tasted it. "Oh my good," he said, eyes rolling back in pleasure. "That's amazing." Salma took a bite, feeling not just Ahmad's absence, but his presence too. She chewed slowly, thoughtfully, and savoured the moment. But Cody was right. It was pretty good. For the first time, she felt comforted by Ahmad's memory, rather than pain from the gaping hole he left in her life. The first customer to try Ahmad's rye bread was Mrs. Hernandez from the flower shop next door. She'd been buying the same almond croissant every Tuesday for 2 years, her routine as predictable as sunrise. But that morning, the smell stopped her at the threshold. "What is that?" she asked, following the scent like a bloodhound. Salma's hands trembled slightly as she sliced the loaf. 3 days had passed since she and Cody baked it together. 3 days of staring at the wrapped loaves, wondering if sharing Ahmad's bread with strangers felt like betrayal or tribute. "Rye with caraway," she said simply. "My husband's recipe." Mrs. Hernandez took a bite. Her eyes closed when she opened them. They were bright with recognition. "This tastes like my grandmother's kitchen. Different bread, same love." She bought 2 loaves. "Are you going to add it to your regular menu?" Mrs. Hernandez asked. Salma looked at Cody, who was beaming with pride as people complimented the bread they had made together. "I think we might. Maybe call it Cody's loaf, after my collaborator." Cody's eyes widened. "Really, you'd put my name on it? It was your idea to make it again. Your hands helped shape it. Your questions helped me remember why I loved baking in the first place. Of course, it should carry your name." By noon, word had spread through the neighborhood like wildfire through dry grass. The morning regulars returned with friends. Cody worked behind the counter, wrapping loaves with the same careful attention he gave his art. Each package became a small gift, tied with twine, carrying more than flour and grain. "This is what Ahmad wanted," Salma whispered to herself, watching the steady stream of customers. Food that connects people. A young father bought 1 Cody's loaf for his pregnant wife, saying she'd been craving something that tastes like home. An elderly man ordered 3 Cody's loaves for his bridge club, claiming his friends wouldn't believe bread could be this good without seeing for themselves. By closing time, they'd sold 17 loaves, more than Salma had moved in any single day since Ahmad's passing. "Tomorrow we double the batch," she told Cody as they cleaned flour from the counters. "You sure?" He asked. "What if it was just beginner's luck?" "Some things aren't luck," she said. "Some things are just meant to be shared." That evening, Salma found herself standing before the half-finished mural, seeing it with different eyes. The geometric shapes Cody had painted under her nervous supervision looked like what they were, fear disguised as caution. "Start over," she said when he arrived the next night. Cody looked up from unpacking his supplies. "What?" "The wall. Start over. Paint what you see when you taste Ahmad's bread. Paint what you feel when flour gets under your fingernails. Paint the truth." His eyes searched her face. No planning, no sketches. Just you and the wall and whatever wants to come out. For the first time since they'd met, Cody grinned without reservation. "You sure about this?" "I'm sure about you." He picked up a can of deep blue paint, shook it once, and began. The transformation was immediate. Where before his movements had been calculated, now they flowed like water finding its path. Blues became waves, became wheat, became hands shaping dough. Silver accents caught moonlight, turned static shapes into living motion. Salma watched from the kitchen window, kneading tomorrow's bread, marveling at how creation looked the same whether the medium was paint or flour. The same focus, the same trust and process over perfection. By midnight, the wall had become a symphony of movement and light. Not the careful collaboration she'd originally feared, but something entirely new. A celebration of individual voices finding harmony. "It's beautiful," she said, stepping into the alley. "It's not finished. The best things never are." Talia hadn't planned to stop. She was just passing the bakery with a bag of groceries on her hip and her daughter tugging at her coat. But something in the window caught her eye, not the pastries, but the handwriting. Scripted signs curled like vines along the glass. Small painted wheat stalks framed loaves like artwork in a gallery. She paused. Inside, her brother stood behind the counter, talking to an elderly man about rye versus sourdough. He gestured to each loaf like it mattered. His hair was tied back. His shirt was clean. And for the first time in a long time, Cody didn't look like he was shrinking from the world. He looked like he had a place in it. "You know him?" the florist next door asked, noticing her stare. "Yeah," Talia said. "He's my brother." Figured. "He's got your eyes. Real artistic, that one. Quiet, but kind." Talia walked home slowly after that. For months, Cody had been slipping, ditching class, sleeping late, chasing friends who only pulled him further off course. She'd tried to reach him, yelled, pleaded, waited, nothing stuck. Then one day he'd mentioned a bakery job, said it was real, not charity, wages, not pity. She hadn't believed it until now. That night, when he came home smelling like cinnamon and paint, she met him at the door. "Tell me about the bakery." And he did. About Salma, who let him help with old family recipes. About bread that took patience. About the mural, and how it felt to paint something that wouldn't be washed away. "She sees me," he said. "Not who I was, who I could be." Since then, he'd been different. Earlier mornings, fewer slammed doors, a quiet pride that clung to him like flour. Here's what makes this next part interesting. Raymond Torres wasn't just any regular customer. For 35 years, he'd been the kind of art teacher who changed kids' lives, the one who spotted diamonds in the rough and knew exactly how to polish them. And Cody's mural was about to catch his very experienced eye. On a quiet Thursday morning, Raymond Torres noticed something different about the bakery. It started with the bread, a caraway rye that Salma handed him as a sample. One bite, and he was 10 years old again, standing in his grandmother's kitchen in Tucson, the air thick with the scent of pan de centeno and warm memories. But it wasn't just the bread. The whole place looked elevated. Hand-painted signs in the window, elegant calligraphy, color palettes so subtle they turned pastries into still life portraits. And then there was the mural. He'd seen it forming over the past week, had dismissed it at first as another teenager with a spray can, but the shapes had evolved. Color theory, depth, movement. Someone wasn't just painting, they were building something. "Who's the artist?" he asked as Salma refilled his coffee. "Cody," she said, nodding toward the boy arranging bread in the display case. "He works here." Raymond studied him. There was focus in his movements, a kind of quiet absorption Raymond had only seen in his most gifted students, the ones who couldn't help but make something beautiful out of nothing. Formal training? No. Self-taught, Salma said. But he sees things, and when he needs dough, it's like watching someone sculpt. After finishing his Danish, Raymond approached the counter. "Cody, right? I'm Raymond Torres. Used to teach art at Lincoln High." Cody froze. "The mural's not finished." "I know it's rough." Raymond shook his head. "I think it's remarkable. Have you ever considered art school?" Cody blinked. "I don't have the grades, and I've never even thought about. Grades aren't talent." Raymond said, "You've got vision. That's what matters." He pulled a card from his wallet, scribbled on the back. "There's a community program starting next month. Evening classes. Portfolio-based entry. Scholarships available." Cody stared at the card like it might vanish. "You think I'd even have a chance?" "I think you should try. Put a portfolio together. They might waive the cost if they want you." Later that afternoon, as Raymond walked home, he couldn't stop thinking about it. How many students he'd seen hold back until someone finally said, "I see you." Back in his apartment, he called Maria Santos, director of the Community Arts Program. "I've got someone for you," he said. "Raw talent, real work ethic, and a story you're going to want to hear." Back at the bakery, Cody couldn't stop staring at Raymond's business card. Community Arts Collective, evening program, portfolio-based admission. "What do you think?" he asked Salma as they prepared the next morning's bread. "I think you should try," she said without hesitation. Ahmad always said the biggest risk was not taking any risks. But what about the bakery? The mural's not finished, and you need help with. Cody, Salma's voice was gentle but firm. I'm not going anywhere. The bakery's not going anywhere. But opportunities like this don't come often. Cody spent his weekend assembling a portfolio. Photographs of the bakery mural, sketches from his personal collection, detailed shots of the window displays he'd designed. Salma insisted on including pictures of his bread, the precise braiding on chow loaves, the artistic scoring on sourdough rounds. Art is about creating beauty, she said. Doesn't matter if the medium is paint or flour. Monday morning, 3 of Cody's friends appeared at the bakery's front door. The same ones who'd teased him about doing chores for the bread lady weeks earlier. But they weren't laughing now. Yo, Kay, Marcus said, staring at the transformed storefront. You did all this? Salma and I, Cody replied, suddenly protective of their partnership. Dude, this is incredible, said Jamie, running her fingers along the hand-painted lettering on the window. This is like professional-level stuff. The third friend, Alex, was studying the mural through the alley entrance. Remember when you used to tag the underpass? This is like that. But what? But this matters. This means something. For weeks, Cody had dreaded running into his old friends, certain they'd mock his new life, his legitimate job, his partnership with someone 3 times his age. Instead, he found himself explaining color theory, describing the satisfaction of perfect bread timing, and showing off techniques Salma had taught him. You're different, Marcus said eventually, not with judgment, but quiet admiration. Good different. Like you found your thing. Maybe I did, Cody replied, and for the first time, the words didn't feel like a defense. They felt like the truth. 2 weeks later, as if the universe had been waiting to affirm it, a thick envelope arrived in the mail. The Community Arts Collective. Full scholarship. Portfolio praised not just for talent, but for potential, for voice. He was kneading bread when Salma brought him the mail, and his flour-covered hands left fingerprints on the envelope as he read. I got in, he said quietly, then louder. I got in. Salma hugged him, leaving flour handprints on both their aprons. Ahmad would be so proud. Of me, of both of us, for taking chances, for building something together. That evening, Cody called Talia from the bakery's back room. I need to tell you something. Please tell me you didn't get arrested. I got into art school. The silence stretched so long Cody wondered if the call had dropped. Then he heard his sister crying. Talia, I'm proud of you, she said through tears. I'm so proud of you. I can't see straight. I'm not giving up the bakery, he added quickly. The program's evenings. Salma says she needs me here, and I need to be here too. Good, Talia said. Don't let go of something that's working, but don't be afraid to grow either. That night, as Cody worked on the mural's final details, Salma sat in the kitchen, rolling out pastry dough for tomorrow's turnovers. Through the window, she watched him add the last touches. A small crescent moon in the upper corner, wheat stalks that seemed to dance in the evening breeze. The design had evolved far beyond anything she could have imagined. It wasn't just decoration anymore. It was a story. The story of hands creating sustenance, of tradition passed between generations, of individual gifts finding collective purpose. In the bottom right corner, barely visible unless you knew to look, Cody had painted 2 small figures working side by side. Not the detailed collaboration from his original sketch, but simple silhouettes suggesting partnership without demanding specific memory. It was perfect. It honored Ahmad without replacing him. It celebrated their work together without diminishing what came before. Thank you, she whispered to the window, not sure if she was speaking to Cody, or Ahmad, or the universe that had brought them together. Outside, Cody stepped back to survey his completed work. The mural would be here long after he graduated from art school, long after he moved on to whatever came next. But so would the bakery, so would Salma, so would the Cody's loaf they made together, one loaf at a time, feeding their neighborhood with something more than flour and yeast. Some partnerships weren't meant to end. They were meant to evolve, to grow, to become foundations for whatever beautiful thing came next. He packed up his paints and headed inside to help Salma prepare for tomorrow.